Episode 213, Tell No One.
You're listening to the very best podcast in the world on health, wealth, and happiness. Please remember to leave a review and share with all your friends and family. And here is your host, Lars Hilser.
And it's Wednesday. Welcome to the very best podcast in the world. Your only source in the universe for personal supremacy through health, wealth, and happiness. In today's episode, we're going to speak about why you should STFU on a large variety of cases. And the most important thing to actually take away is that people, be it friends or foes or whomever, tend to ruin beautiful things. So before we get started, we're going to get into the housekeeping. As always, number one on the agenda is sharing is caring, because it just is. So in that, if you find this episode interesting or any other one of the 213 episodes or 200, including the bonus, it's 200. Anyhow, long story short, share it, period. Because you will be inevitably helping someone along the way, and that's really what this podcast is about, or turned out to be. Number two, views are my own, yada yada. If you don't necessarily share them, turn off this episode and switch back in tomorrow when there are going to be different views and the world has changed. Anyhow, how do people ruin beautiful things? Well, here are a few things really that you shouldn't tell anyone. So when you travel, don't tell anyone. When you live a true love story, tell no one. And when you live happily, just tell no one. Keep your happiness to yourself, because there are tons of people out there who are going to envy you, for the situation you're in. And more importantly, you can be in the most shitty situation from my experience, and, you can still be happy, and there are still people envying you. And I found this so bizarre in my past. It was like, I got, not really sacked. I had a physical altercation with one of my superiors, upon which, it was determined by us and others that our, business relationship didn't have a lot of future. Plus, he looked kind of stupid with a crooked nose. But anyhow, it was like I was in a shitty situation because I was out of a contract that I kind of liked. But it was a situation where I was happy, on the other hand, that it was over. And really the most interesting thing was that I was, prancing around and should have been feeling shitty, but still, I was happy and just, anyhow. And there were people like, God damn it, I envy you so bad. You're always so happy and whatever. And nobody can really look behind the scenes. And being happy, I think, we went through that on Monday, I believe, is something you can actually move yourself into a happy space. And we recently went over how to find your happy place and, that kind of a deal. It's a mindset, and you can get there quite easy. On Friday, I think we're going to go over really another interesting issue in terms of achieving happiness and staying there. And so that's, another really interesting thing. So why should you, hide a love story, or for that fact, anything emotionally that makes you happy, right? So there are those out there who, feed off making other people miserable, and they can't stand under no circumstance that someone is happy. I went through this during my school career. There was one jerk that had nothing better to do than to spread rumors, and try and make a relationship that I was engaged in deteriorate. And he would spread those rumors, and he would just feed off of it. So anyhow, it was interesting to talk to this guy and ask him how poor he thought he was, and he wasn't. But the discussion went really interesting, took a really interesting turn when he realized that that was what he was feeding of, and what was part of his personality was actually so corrupt and stupid that it was like an interesting realization for him. So there are other benefits about keeping your mouth shut on a on anything that makes you happy at the end of the day. And that's number one, keeping your mouth shut gives you the opportunity to learn even more from people around you, right? So the moment you're not talking, right, you're listening inevitably. There are these awkward moments of silence, but other people, due to their socialization, will feel tempted to say something. And regardless of whether it's, village or city gossip or, just exploits that they make, they can be really, really, really interesting and helpful down the line, right? In terms of springing up or, making new ideas appear in your head and in your life, and a large variety of other things. So tell no one is really a bit inaccurate. Of course, people are going to realize that you're happy, right? And if they ask you, why are you so happy? It's like, it's easy to communicate in very few words. But on the other hand, you're going to then lead to spreading that happiness to other people, and not being driven down the negativity spiral, but actually staying in that place. And, the more, the quieter you are, the more you can learn from other people's discussions. And another very important aspect, I wanted to mention was the fact not to tell anyone about projects you're currently lining up, right? Because there are several pitfalls to that. Number one, as long as there's no signature under the contract, and even then, things can go south. So, it's like, shut up until you got the money in the bank. And it's happened to me. Just to give you a very brief example, I had signed a contract and I was really, really, really psyched. And the contract got canceled. I did get paid penalty fees and everything, but still the interesting project for a major client, it was gone. And I had told everyone about it. And, rumors start to spread, whether it was the quality of my work, where they had done the due diligence and found out something about me or whatever that made them cancel the contract. No, in fact, it was just that, the budget that they had allocated was taken back, and therefore the contract had to be canceled. So there was nobody else found. The contract later came to fruition, and it was an insanely interesting and rewarding project. But still, because I had, spread the news that just being wholeheartedly proud of what I had achieved, it was like very interesting. So, tell no one, or at least think before you tell anybody anything, is the baseline of this episode. I hope I was able to bring that point across, why it's important. And tomorrow, in any case, we're going to be back when we are going to be talking about time. So in that sense, it's time to wrap things up. And I wish you a good rest of your Wednesday. If you've already had your Wednesday, have a good night. Hands above the blanket, you know the drill. And we'll be back tomorrow. Bye, folks.